Okay, today's lesson is going to be on making every brushstroke a finished brushstroke. And there's two reasons for this. First is it's an exercise, because if every brushstroke is a finished one, you're going to make them as big and as simple as possible. And it forces you to get rid of detail that doesn't matter. Another exercise along with that is to give yourself maybe 100 brushstrokes to do a 9 by 12. Same type of thing. It forces you to think in terms of what's important and what's not. It forces you to simplify, whereas if you have all the time in the world and all the brushstrokes in the world, we will inevitably just pick the painting to death. So this is an exercise to think in terms of economy of brushstroke, put down what's important, but also to think about where that brushstroke starts and stops. Secondly, it's also a different style of painting as opposed to working back to front, getting everything blocked in the landscape or the figure in large masses, and then coming back and painting back into it. It's just a different style as opposed to that. And it's more direct, more immediate. It's more about the brushstrokes. And if you look at someone like Richard Schmidt, his paintings are geared more towards that, especially his smaller figures and still lifes. It's kind of a one brushstroke at a time, and each brushstroke a finished brushstroke, because if you put it right the first time, you don't have to go back and change it. Now, that doesn't mean as you put down a brushstroke, if you make a mistake, scrape it off and put it down again. Don't try and correct a brushstroke by just painting on top of it. Just scrape it and go back. So there's a few examples, and I have a few of those. In this one, and when you, again, using that technique, you're starting at the focal point. So after a simple drawing, but making sure the drawing's correct, not detailed, but simple and correct. Started right about in here, put in the 3 values on the horse, starting putting in, chopping in the colors in here, and then in the barn up here. And as I gradually move away from the focal point, I get less and less detailed. The barn obviously has the most detail on it, but simplifying the sky, the mountains, the trees, and making it all about this area, including the horse. If you want to practice simplifying what you're painting, paint that way. Start at the focal point and work out and do less and less. So again, my focal point right in here. This is a house in New Mexico. Obviously, I'm painting on top of some brushstrokes, but that's only to get another variation of color. I'm not going in to pick at it or scrub into it. More simplified brushstrokes. When the other way of painting, when I block in like the house, I would start maybe with this value, block it all in, then gradually add the other values. Here, I had in mind, before I started painting the roof, that I wanted about 3 or 4 colors in there and about 2 or 3 values, and just put them in one at a time. And it gives a different look to the painting. I'm not saying one way is right and the other way is wrong, or one way is better. I tend to paint the other way 80% of the time. I start in the back, and I block things in large masses. Then I go back and work back into them. Here I don't. Every strokes are finished. I tend to tone it. You can see the kind of the dark tone in there. I toned this one with a burnt sienna because that's going to show up a lot when there's some of it here, some there, a lot in the background, some on the house. It's going to show up, the background. So you want a value and a color that is going to make it work. If I had bare white canvas showing in all those places, wouldn't work as well. It would make the painting a little bit chalky. And this is another one here, again, starting with the figures. I think I started with this one, then moved to this one, and gradually the background. In the background, I know I wanted a series of violets, warm and cool violets. A little bit of value change, but not much in the background. I wanted most of the value change in the figures and keep everything else real simple. I also used a very muted palette in here. Pretty much the ultramarine blue, burnt sienna, and yellow ochre. I did use a little cerulean in the pants and violet in the shirt just to make it stand out a bit more. But it's a good exercise, again, enforcing you to think simple and what each brushstroke is doing. Because when you can't come back and add a bunch more detail, you're going to decide what's important, like in the face here. What's important is the plane changes, the lighter dark here, the darker dark, and the darkest dark. And I wanted to use those three values to make the face look three-dimensional in the shadow. Then the same thing in the light area. I've got the light, halftone, and then the dark. It's a really good exercise. It's hard at first, but the more you do it, just like anything else, the more it starts to make sense. Here's another one, starting first with the flower pots, as far as the color goes. Had the drawing down fairly accurate, no detail, just accurate big shapes. And started in the flower pots and then moved up here to this area. And then as I moved out, it got less and less detail, bigger, simpler strokes there. But let's go on to the photographs here. This is a more zoomed in. There's not a background, middle ground. There's foreground. Maybe the house back in here is middle ground. But I want to crop that so the houses are more somewhat in the foreground. So it's more close-up subject matter where the focal point is the main thing. It takes up most of the canvas. Then I want to start with brushstrokes that are simple, each brushstroke a finished stroke. As an exercise, it really forces us to think about what's important and what's not. Now, compositionally, this photograph, it has that standard horizontal line. It breaks it in the middle. The horizon line is too centered. And then the houses here are two centered, one on either side. So that's the first thing you always want to think about compositionally, that cross in the center, horizontally and vertically. You want to stay away from that, and this photograph has both of them, so I want to get rid of that idea. I also want to get rid of the idea that this is too much of this house, too much of that house. They're both equally important, so I need to decide which one's more important. To get rid of that horizontal line, I have to decide, do I want more sky or do I want more foreground? And the sky is not interesting, so I want more foreground. So that tells me I want more of this house and I want more of the foreground. So I will get rid of a lot of the sky and some of that house. I will include both trees. Both can run off a little bit. And here I'm focusing now on this house. And I do like the truck. Truck is a nice contrast. Maybe close to the edge to be that light, but I can knock down the contrast a little bit. But now this house is dominant, and the house here is more secondary, because most of it's covered up by green. You see most of this house here. And that's going to be my focal point. So I would start in here, mainly with the darks first, some dark accents underneath the roof, dark accent in the window, and then I might even pre-mix the shadow and the light area. And then one brush stroke at a time. Finish it. And if I want to suggest some of the variation of color in that dried aged wood, I will put it in, again, a stroke at a time. But big strokes. You know, I can probably see 40 boards here. I want to suggest maybe 5 or 6. You're not putting in everything. So if I'm looking at it from the tree standpoint, these are dead trees. And it's obviously summer, kind of a dry summer. But the dead trees I don't think work very well. I would add foliage to it. Now, not a lot. It doesn't have to be a full tree. Let me get back to my cropping here. Get rid of all the excess stuff. But a little bit of value in the foliage. This being more yellow with a touch of red and blue, and this being more blue with a little bit of yellow and red. So two different colors, but it gives a bit of life to the trees that aren't there. And it used to be if I was out there, I wouldn't paint it because I don't like the dead tree. Well, then change it. You know, don't just not paint something because there's a spot or two in there that you don't like. You're not going to find the perfect composition. So I have no hesitation now to add something to it. And I don't want to totally change everything. If I do that, I might as well not have picked it to begin with. But minor things like that make a difference, but you're not making up so much that you're just working totally out of imagination. I do want to get inspiration from what's really there. And I don't think I've veered from it at all. I've just added some minor things that help the painting in the long run. Then lastly, doing something in here in the foreground grasses, it's really cluttered. So there is a fence there. If I make that fence more of a picket fence, it's an old abandoned farmhouse. So an old abandoned picket fence work well on there. And then just touches of color from where there used to be a garden in there maybe, and it's just gone wild with color in there. So that That changes it quite a bit from more of a, once it's composed better, more of a dead kind of an empty scene to still abandoned, but a bit more interest in it. I should cut off a bit more sky and add a bit more of the grass to the foreground, because right now the horizon is still about dead center, so I didn't take care of that problem. And that's a biggie, because this, to the same amount of grass to the same amount of sky, really makes the painting look a little static. And even if you don't know why, something down the middle like that, either horizontally or vertically, really makes a difference in the painting. A couple of others here. Again, when I'm doing this one brush stroke at a time, the focal point, I always want it bigger. I want it to take up most of the canvas. If I'm going to have more background, middle ground, foreground, and a bunch of stuff going on around the focal point, I won't paint it this way. This is more of just a suggested background with all the work being pretty much on the focal point, and in this case the figure. So I would get all the figure in, and I want a little more of the foreground than the stuff on top. I don't care about the stuff on top. And I want a bit more of the left side than the right side, because I don't want him dead center. So if I crop this way, it'd be more of a vertical composition, because he's a vertical subject. He's taller than he is wide, or should be. I mean, the interest is in the vertical, not the horizontal. So a little taller vertical canvas as opposed to a horizontal or a really long horizontal. And a bit more on the left side than the right. So he's placed kind of on the right side, just right of center on the upper part. Usually you don't place too much on the bottom half of the canvas. So I wouldn't crop it to where he's down in here more. I would crop it to where he's up on top. And the background, I would probably put most of the background in real simple, real loose before I even start the figure. And then with the paper towel, wipe out for where the figure is going to be. And then with a little transparent color, draw him in more accurately. And then start him brushstroke by brushstroke. But I don't need to do too much to the background. One thing I would want to do, the light on his skin is competing with the light on the rock. So I want to do something with that, and I would just darken the rocks. I can still have some highlight on the rocks, but I'd start them off darker and then add some slightly lighter highlights and a variation of color. Same thing with this stuff up here. I don't mind the greens up here, but it's way too busy. My eye goes right up here because that's where darkest darks are and the most little detail of bright yellow green. So simplifying that also. Blocking it in, not quite as dark, and have fewer lights in there. It's not going to draw as much attention. Also, the rock down below that he's sitting on, I want to vary the color. Some cooler color because it's a rock. Rock should not look orange. A great orange in this case. They should have a variation of cooler color to make them look more natural. They're not like the shorts here, which are a strong orange. Rocks just never look that way. There's always, it's sunlit, it's warm, but not overly warm. So the subtle violet on top cools that down. As I'm doing brush by brush stroke, I would lay in a few lights, a few of the halftones and darks, and some of the blue, and let the viewer's eye kind of blend it slightly. So less taking a clean brush and just scrubbing in an area. You want the brush strokes to kind of dominate. This was in Greece. And again, boat centered, horizon lines up here this time, up on the top part. And I'd probably leave it up there, but I want to zoom in a lot more. And I want more of the water. And the problem is you fall in love with stuff like this thing right here that the boat's tied to, the nets, the buckets. But I have to get rid of some of that. My focal point is going to be the figure sitting on the edge of the boat there. And of course, I spend a lot of time doing thumbnails as well, because I can do the same thing. I used to do that, obviously, before the computer. Now, I still had, when I did that, I still had the boat in the center. So I need to try it again. So I'm going to crop off some of the background. I want to crop off some of the boat as well. That's a little better. Now the figure is on the upper half of the painting on the left side of center. And the boat's also on the top. It's not split down the middle. So I'm not too centered on anything vertically or horizontally. I've decided on the bottom half being more dominant than the top half. Usually, unless it's cloud formations or mountains or tall trees, I'm going to have more foreground than background. And then I want to think in terms of getting rid of stuff that doesn't matter. And that is the stuff down here, not the nets necessarily, but the junk in the nets. There's too many value changes. Get rid of this black line there and just simplify everything. I also want to darken this area back in there because it competes too much with the value of the boat. They're too much the same value. And get rid of some of the stuff in the background back in here, which I think would draw the focus away. So first thing here is simplify those nets, just 3 values of kind of a red-violet. Get rid of all the little value changes in there. Also get rid of that black line as some kind of tubing or something, which had nothing to do with what I want to paint. And then get rid of the background. Those houses back in there, the stuff on the wall is just cluttery. And then lastly, I would darken this wall. I didn't darken the whole wall, but you can see a little darker value back in there would make this slightly lighter shadowed boat pop out a bit more. And there's a lot here to work with. Again, I would start after a simple drawing, start right in here, figure the darks on the boats, dark inside here, and just I can vary the color. I can have broken color in there. I can have some broken color in here, broken color on there. As I'm putting in one brush stroke, I'll just stop and put in some broken color. Now, broken color works better when it's scrubbed into a big overall value. But again, we want every brush stroke here to be a finished and every brush stroke to kind of stand out. I might soften a few edges, but I still want the brushwork to be the main focal point of the painting. Now, after saying brushwork's the main focal point, still values are the most important than color temperature, but every brush stroke, a finished brush stroke is all about the brush strokes, assuming you get all the other stuff right first. So as we think about this, again, think of it as an exercise. You might prefer to paint the other way, but to do this once in a while, really helpful. And keep it small. You might even try some 6x8s, so nothing big, so you can focus more on the brushwork than on kind of working from back to front.